let's think about what props we might need for our practice. So this is a yin, restorative yin practice. You don't always have to have props, but props sometimes help us to access a shape or a pose more easily. So if you have available some cushions, so just grab them off your sofa, either your homemade version of a bolster. So there's a couple of options: rolling up towels, rolling up comforter, a thin duvet, or a firm pillow. So I have this pillow from my bed, which is quite firm. So have your pillows and cushions available that you're going to need. Perhaps, and the other thing I would recommend is some blankets. So have 2 blankets. It's always good to have them available, whether you use them or not during your practice. It's helpful to have them nearby. I'm sitting on a block. You could be sitting on a folded blanket or a cushion. So have all your props ready that you need for your practice. My mat, I haven't put a blanket on my mat because it's a cork mat, so it's very warm and thick. But if you wanted to line your mat with your blanket, you can always do that. So if you wanted to get your blanket, have quite a thick, heavy blanket if you're going to line your mat, otherwise you might slip around on the blanket. So you could just line your mat with your blanket, like so. And then you have the blanket underneath you, keeping you warm and cozy. But I'm going to fold mine away for the moment, as I don't need it. And then when I need it, I'll get it. So let's make sure everybody's arrived. Everybody's arrived. We're going to start in seated today. So come into your comfortable seat, your comfortable sukhasana with your legs crossed, sitting on your cushion or your folded blanket to help lengthen your spine. Let's roll your shoulders up towards your ears and slide them down and away, and palms face up on your knees or face down. You can bring your little finger and thumb to touch in Varuna Mudra. So we're working with the new moon energy today, following Friday's new moon, and we'll be working with the element of water for our practice. So we're focusing on our kidney and bladder meridians. And meridians comes from the traditional Chinese medicine, and very similar to Indian philosophy as well, in that they are channels of energy throughout our body, these subtle channels through which energy, chi or pran, this vital life force that we all need, flows through. And whenever we experience any blockages or imbalance, any sort of excess or depletion of energy, it's often because we can have these sort of centers of energy feel blocked. And so through our yoga practice, yin yoga and hatha yoga, we clear these energy pathways and revitalize ourselves. So that's the sort of concept at a kind of philosophical level for our practice. So closing your eyes or taking a downward gaze, turn inward. Yin is very much an inward-looking practice. It's connected to the lunar energy of being cooling, introspective, meditative, feminine, nurturing, receptive, all those kinds of concepts and aspects of, and qualities we bring to this practice. Take a full breath in through your nose and wash it out through open mouth. Followed by 2 more breaths like this, inhaling through your nose, washing it out through open mouth. Inhale together. Exhale together. Let's bring our hands together at our heart center in prayer. Namaskar. Open your practicing with 3 Oms. And this week I've been inviting you to attach meaning to your Oms related to the sense of time and passing of time. The past, present, future. What has been, what is, what will be. The new moon is a time for new beginnings and change. Inhale fully to prepare. Om. 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 Hands to your eyebrow center. Namaste. And welcome everybody to your Sunday Slowdown, Reset, Rest and Reset Yin practice. So this is a very slow moving practice. Nothing much seems to happen. We get into a shape. We stay in that shape for anything between 3 and 5 minutes. And the mind begins to wander. The body becomes a bit restless. What we're doing by holding a pose for longer is really dropping down into the deeper connective tissues. So the longer we hold a pose, the more we extend our range of motion. So, and we do it safely. So we work within our range of motion and we extend our mobility by gradually, slowly lengthening and loosening those tense areas, so the ligaments, the tendons, the bones. We're working at that deep level, the level at which the fascia covers our body. So underneath our skin, underneath the layers of fat, we have fascia which covers the entire length of our body pretty much, and we want to hydrate, nourish that through our practice. So let's come into our first pose. And our first pose is going to butterfly. So this is a very familiar pose to all of us. We bring the soles of our feet together. You might want to come off your block here. And before we do that, I want you to just open up your feet and taking your thumbs, find a spot called acupressure kidney 1 on the soles of your feet. Now this is a spot that's between your middle and your big toe and your second toe. And it's just underneath and in the middle of those two pads. So if you press around at the bottom of your big toe, move towards the middle, just underneath, in that gap between the two toes, your big and second toe. And then apply some firm pressure. So just maybe gently rub and circle that area. So it's kind of around there. That's the area that we're working with. And when you press that area, you might feel a little bit of tenderness. This is kidney 1. This is where our kidney meridian starts and ends. So it travels the entire length of our body. So it goes along the sole of our foot, the inside of our leg, inside of our lower leg, our thigh, and then up along the middle of our body. So let's just give ourselves a little gentle massage in that kidney 1 spot. This is also known as the source of the bubbling spring, Yongquan. So let's just press here for about 30 seconds to a minute. If you have some oil handy, you can always use oil. And then just a couple more seconds. And press firmly because you want to have a sensation here. Now let's release that, and maybe you just give the rest of your foot and your ankles a little squeeze. Maybe go all the way up your lower legs, your knees, your upper legs. And then let's come into our butterfly here. Now we lengthen and create height. We're going to come into a forward fold. So your forward fold can be supported or it can be just hanging out here. So come into your variation. So you can just choose to hang out here with your neck, shoulder, and head relaxed. Or you could use your bolster or your cushion. So you could place them here at an angle between your feet maybe, and rest the eyebrow center on your bolster. You have your bolster on the inside of your legs. You can have it sort of vertical, and you can place cushions on it. There you go. So create a little platform and then rest your eyebrow center on here. So you can create, there's a lot of construction that goes on in yin. to create these supportive poses for us. So find your structure where it meets your eyebrow center. So we bring the structure up to us if we cannot reach down towards the earth. And then here, just soften through your upper body. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your neck, your head. Allow yourself to be supported by your pillow, your cushion, your bolster. We'll be here for 4 minutes. I'll be timing it. And as you lie here in this forward fold variation of butterfly, drop down into your heart space. And here you'll probably be very aware of the sense of openness at the back of your heart space. And connect with your intentions for this lunar cycle ahead. Perhaps you want to release negative emotions such as fear, anxiety, tensions, worries. Name that emotion and with each out breath, release it, let it go. And in its stead, you may wish to invite in focus, courage, fearlessness, willpower. So these negative and positive emotions are associated with the kidney and bladder meridians. They're held and stored within those organs. So when we have a cleanse, a detox, we flush out, we drink lots of water to clear out our kidneys and clear out our bladder, to essentially wash away all that does not serve us. So in this practice, the real opportunity to let go and release anything that you wish, perhaps, relationships or difficulties you have with people that you know, perhaps situations in your personal life or within work. The balance between work and life is very difficult now for us as we work from home. We're here for another minute or so. And if you wish, I invite you to go a little bit deeper. So if you had your bolster here, or you had some cushions, you might wish to explore if you've created more space by removing one of the cushions. Perhaps removing both cushions. Perhaps even removing your bolster altogether. And you'll have noticed that you've created a little bit more extra space here. The edge that we meet in yin is not a static edge. It's an edge that shifts and moves the longer we stay within that edge. That change can be imperceptible, but nevertheless it's there. Let's have 3 more breaths here in forward fold butterfly, signaling to your body that you're about to move and transition out of this pose. Inhaling on your 3rd breath to lift your gaze and come back up. Gradually walk your hands towards your knees. With helping hands, let's draw those knees in together. Place your hands either side of you on your mat. Let's windshield wiper the knees all the way over to one side and then all the way over to the other side. And we'll do this a couple of times. And then from here, we're going to come into a toe squat. So again, as we know, the kidney meridian is here, the sole of our foot. This is where it starts. So we want to stimulate that. Again, I'm going to give you various options because it's not always comfortable for us. So this is the pose we do. We tuck our toes in here and we have our knees bent. So this is where we're going. Now, this can feel really uncomfortable. So options for making this more comfortable. Option one, let's get my pillow, is you can place something underneath your knees. That lifts the earth up towards you. You can have your hands on the earth, so therefore you have less weight and pressure on your heels. The closer to your body that you have your hands and the more upright you are, the more pressure you will feel on your toes. So you might want to lean slightly forward. Another option here is to place a blanket underneath your toes. And so it doesn't feel so intense. You could even place a cushion underneath your sit bones. So you can see that there's lots of options for creating space. So this gap between the knees and at the back of the knees by sitting on a cushion takes off some of the pressure. Having the cushion underneath your knees and the blanket underneath your toes, again, gives you a little bit more space to work in. You could lean forward, have your hands on the earth. You could be more upright. Wherever you are, hug your navel in towards you so that you are engaged at your core here, so that you're not dipping your lower back, keeping that length of your lower back in particular, because we're working here with the kidneys. We'll be here for 3 minutes, so I'm just getting the timer now. You can come in and out of this pose if it doesn't feel comfortable for you. It is challenging. We're releasing the plantar fascia, so sometimes we get that very tight sensation underneath the sole of our foot. This helps to release that. So we have our bladder meridian runs round, so starts at the inner corner of our eye. And so if you wish here, you can always just tap here at the inner corner of your eye with your index and middle finger. And it travels up your brow, top of your crown, round down the back of your neck, and all the way down your spine here, all the way down to your tailbone, and then across your buttocks, and down the back of your leg, ending all the way in your little toe. So this is where our bladder meridian runs. The kidney runs on the inside of our leg, the bladder meridian runs on the back of our leg. Along the front of our leg is the stomach and spleen. Again, those organs and those meridians are also involved in releasing and letting go. It's going to feel quite intense after a while. We're here for another minute or so. So if at every point you need to just release your toes, feel free to release your toes and then come back in. Have your gaze perhaps down towards the earth or neutral, gazing at the horizon. Yogi's choice. You can also have your thumb and little finger touching in Varuna Mudra. And you want this sensation to be fairly strong, but at no point should it feel painful or unbearable. If it becomes much too intense for you, ease away from your edge. We're here for another 3 breaths. Take deep breaths. Exhale through those places where you feel the tension or compression. And on your last exhale here, let's bring your hands to the earth. And with care, lift your sit bones, untuck your toes, and bring your feet onto the earth here. Let's just stay here for a moment in a table, just for a moment. You might want to extend your leg long just to release the back of your knees if it feels really constricted. We're moving directly into ankle stretch. So ankle stretch is counter pose. Now, again, for ankle stretch, so you can see I'm sitting here on my heels. Now, this is quite intense already. We can lift our knees and place them on a cushion. That makes it even more intense in this round. So having the cushion underneath your knees now will make the pressure here on the inside of your ankles more intense. So if you want the intense experience, you can place something on underneath your knees. To reduce the sense of tension here, if you have your blanket handy, roll it up. So you don't want a big roll, you just want quite a soft, gentle roll. And then you can always place your blanket on the inside of your ankles here. So your ankles are supported with the blanket. Again, if it feels intense for your knees, you can sit on a blanket or a cushion. And again, that will take away some of the pressure from your knees. So come into this variation. Now here, again, we're going to seek to stay upright. If it feels too intense, you can always lean slightly forward with your hands on the earth. For yogis who want to feel it a little bit more strongly, then your option is to have your hands on the earth and perhaps lift your knees off the earth. If you've got your cushion underneath your knees, great. You might want to have your blankets underneath your knees. So whatever you need to help lift your knees off the earth. To come into your variation of ankle stretch. Again, we're here just for less time this time. We're going to be here for a minute because this is quite intense. So remember to use your props. We don't often sit like this. We don't often stretch the inside of our ankle or our toes. In fact, we very rarely pay attention to our feet. Yet our feet ground us, steady us, guide us through life. So we pay attention to them during our yin practice. Yeah, you also have the option, if you want, you can use your hands to press your kidney one spot between your big toe and second toe. Three more breaths here in your ankle stretch. For your practice today, think about what it is you want to bring into your life to improve your well-being. Your sense of wellness. It's been Mental Health Awareness Week this past week. So thinking about the things that help you feel healthy mentally. It brings you psychological health and wealth. One more breath here. And then with care, we have all our props. So let's remove our props. Create some space. And here what we're going to do is come onto our sit bones and perhaps extend our legs long here. Just for a moment. Maybe you circle your ankles one way, then the other way. Flex your toes, wiggle your toes. Maybe you have your heels on the earth, and then you can do this sort of windshield wiper here. Place your sole of your foot on the earth and then lift it up. So any of these motions that help get the chi flowing around your ankles, especially if you feel like you've had a lot of constriction there, maybe even rub them a little bit. We're going to move into a caterpillar pose. This is a forward fold before we move into our next pose. Now for today's caterpillar pose, so you could have the most intense variation. I'll demo that if you want to go straight into that, because you don't need any props. Extend your legs. Have your feet relaxed. So in Dasan, in Hatha Yoga, you remember we're all really like this, we're all tense, our muscles are activated, engaged. Here we're just going to loosen and relax our feet and our muscles along our quads. And then inhale to reach up, and then exhale to fold forward. And then just allow your head, neck and shoulders to relax here. Have a soft bend in your knees. So this is variation 1 for caterpillar. The one that I prefer the most is to place a large pillow underneath the knees. So you can place your bolster or your pillow underneath your knees. So you can have 2 pillows here, you know, you can have your knees as high as you want. And then here again, we lengthen and we have our feet are relaxed, we lengthen and exhale, fold forward here. And so your heart space, your abdomen might be resting on your thighs in this variation. So find your variation of caterpillar. This is a great pose. So we're going to be here for 3 minutes. I'm going to use my bolster here, make the most of this. And your hands are relaxed, resting perhaps on your ankles. I always recommend that if you have any essential oils at home, it's a really nice time to bring in some aromatherapy when you're practicing yin. So if you have a diffuser, a couple of drops of lavender, or lovely, or a spray. I often have spray, so I just sort of spray it around. And so then, as I'm here, I'm inhaling some soothing, relaxing essential oils. And remember, at any point, you can add or take away. So if you want to add more of a sensation, you remove your block, your bolster, your pillow. If you want to take away some of the intense sensation, you use props. So we've had an opportunity to think about what we wish to invite into our lives to improve our well-being, our sense of wellness, and perhaps what you can offer those around you to support their well-being. A listening ear, a kind word, a friendly smile. We're here for 5 more breaths. Inhale fully. Exhale completely through open mouth. And with your next in-breath, lift your gaze so that you gaze down towards your toes. Slide your hands along your legs to come back up right here. And then let's lift our knees away from our bolster. I'm going to move into quite a challenging pose. It's called saddle pose. And so I'm going to talk you through the various options here. You might want to experiment, but pay very care to how you feel here. So I'm going to show you the most intense variation first. So you come onto your knees and you're either sitting on your heels or you're sitting between your heels. So this is an intense quad stretch at the front of our thighs here. And I'm going to sort of start walking my hands back. Now I might stay here in this option. I might come onto my forearms. That will feel really intense on your thighs. So see how you feel here. And then if that feels really sustainable, you might bring your head back to the earth. That feels the most intense. So those are the three sort of angles that you can take with your back. Now we're going to add props so that we make this sustainable for us. So your first option, again, you can place a blanket underneath your ankles so that the inside of your ankles feel comforted and supported. You can take your bolster and your pillows and you create a little structure behind your back. So you could do this, have a couple of pillows there. And then, in fact, I can show you more, a little cushion. So that when you sit back, you're sitting back and your back is supported by your bolsters, your cushions, your pillows. Could even place that underneath my head. So you can see how this is a much more supported variation of saddle. Cool. So that's kind of your prop variations. If that still feels too intense, and it may well do, you can bend one leg. Now let's show it this way so you can see this. So you can sit on your the mat or your cushion or your blanket. One leg is folded back and the other leg is bent with your foot flat on the earth. And again, you can come back into half saddle variation. You can always extend that leg that was bent. So this is half saddle variation. Quite a few options there. Now choose the options you want to take. Are you going for the half saddle, which I would recommend if you've never done this pose before, in which case fold one leg underneath you. You can sit on your cushion, your blanket, and the other leg is bent with your foot flat on the earth, and you can stay up. You don't even have to go back. If that feels sustainable and within reach, then you can begin to lower your back. Protect this knee. See how your knee feels that's folded underneath you. If it feels really difficult or really painful, then we don't come into this variation. We stay up. We can also place a cushion underneath between the knee and the thigh. You can see there's my knee. I've got a cushion underneath between my knee and my thigh. And I'm staying fairly upright here. If that doesn't feel sustainable for you at all, then what I would suggest you do is come to the earth and we'll do a sort of reclined variation of saddle pose. So there's lots of options for this one. And I'm giving you lots of options so that you find the one that works for you. If the seated version doesn't work for you, what you do is you fold your leg in towards you and take hold of your ankle here. And then this is your alternative. So this is also Ardha Bhava Muktasan, but this is your alternative. And that extended leg can be flat on the earth, like this, or you can have it knee bent. So let's see which variation you want to come into. So I'll talk you through those options again. Half variation. You can sit on your heels or sit with your sit bones between your heels. You can have a cushion underneath your sit bone here. Have one leg bent with your foot on the earth. You can have your bolster behind you. You can have as many cushions or pillows as you need in order to lower carefully to your bolster. that knee that's bent and foot flat on the earth, you can always extend that leg. See how that feels. So that's your half saddle variation. Your full saddle variation is both legs folded underneath you, sitting on your heels or sitting with your sit bones between your heels. And again, staying upright, having your forearms on the earth, having your full length of your back on your bolster on the earth. Come into your variation. You've probably been in here for a while, so we won't be here for too long. Now remember, if you've got a half saddle, I'll tell you when to switch over so that you can then do the same with the other leg. This is a really challenging pose, and I'm with you that it feels intense. So having the different options and having the time to explore and play with the different combinations means that you find a variation that you can access. And once you can access that level of pose, then gradually you will build some mobility and increase your range of motion within that pose. And then you can always, with time, over months, you can learn to extend that pose. So I'm going to give you 3 breaths here if you're in the half saddle variation. And then I'm going to invite you to swap over to the other leg. And in order, if you are reclined in half saddle, in order to come up, engage your core and have your hands next to your hips. Tuck your chin and then inhale to rise up. And that way you come up safely. And then you can roll onto your hip and release the leg that's folded underneath you, and then fold the other leg underneath you or next to your hip so your sit bones are on the earth. And then again you can lower with your one knee bent and foot flat on the earth, and then when you're ready you can always extend that leg too. So now you've swapped legs if you're in the half saddle variation. Wherever you are, close your eyes. At any point, you can ease away from your edge so you come back up. So remember, the more upright you are with your back, the less intense this is on your knees and ankles. The more reclined you are, the more intense it might feel, unless you're in the half saddle variation. If you've been in the full variation and you've been supported by your pillows and cushions, you want to experiment with going a little bit deeper. You can always check how it will feel if you remove one of your cushions. So remember to come up from here. Engage your core towards your spine, tuck your chin, and then with supporting hand on the earth, you can remove one cushion and see how that feels. If it feels as if there's a strain on your lower back, especially around your kidney area, then reach for your cushion and place it back underneath your back and shoulder, back and head. We're here for another 5 breaths. Now, wherever you are, let's draw our navel towards the spine. Tuck your chin into your throat. Place your palms flat on the earth next to you, and then inhale to rise up slowly. Keep supporting yourself with your hands until you come up. And then walk your hands forward and come into table here for a moment. And then reach behind and extend that left leg first with your toes tucked. And then let's do the same with the other side. Extend the other leg long with your toes tucked. And then I'm going to ask you to come and just come onto your sit bones for a moment and extend your legs in front of you. And here, see how your knees will be feeling it. So maybe just give yourself a little rub. So remember here you can tap. So if you tap along the inside of your leg, all the way to the sole, that's your kidney meridian. Tap along the back of your leg to your little toe, that's your bladder meridian. Maybe you rub it, massage it, anything you need to just bring back some sensation and comfort to your knees and ankles in particular. We are going to transition now. And again, because we're working with our lower body meridians, we'll be working mainly on our lower body. Now, this next pose is called cat's tail. And it's a tricky one to get into. So I'm going to talk you into it, and then I'll talk you into it again if we lose each other. So for this one, you might want to definitely pad your mat so it's really comfortable. And then we're going to come to lying down on the earth. So have your knees bent for a moment with your feet flat on the earth. And then extend your left leg long here. And keep your right knee bent with your foot flat on the earth. Then draw your knee in towards your heart and give it a little hug. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and then cross your right knee across your body so that it's coming towards the left side of the earth here. Now, there's probably going to be a big gap between your knee and the earth here. So this is where I invite you to place your bolster or cushion underneath your right knee. Now your left leg extended long here. To change this pose, so this is just a reclined twist for a moment, to change it into cat's tail, bend your left leg and reach for your left ankle with your right hand or your toes. So you create a sort of a zigzag with your lower legs here. So your left leg is extended, you bend the knee and bring your left ankle towards your right foot, your right hand, sorry. So left ankle is in your right hand or your left toes are in your right hand here. And again, this is a great place to give yourself a little massage on kidney 1, that spot between big toe and second toe. And endeavour to have both your shoulders on the earth here and gaze towards the right. So you feel a deep twist in your lower body here, your kidney area, your lower abdomen. Your left hand can stay on the outside of your right knee. If reaching for your left ankle and toes is just a little too far for you, then just allow your hand to relax there and your left knee is bent wherever your ankle is fine. So the focus of the sensation is here in your kidney, bladder area. What happened there? You can close your eyes here. closing your eyes. So you're going to be here for another 3 minutes. This is a really delicious pose. It's almost as if your kidneys and bladder are being wrung out like dishcloth. Let's have 5 more breaths here. Breathing into your abdomen. If you're holding your toes or your ankle, release them and allow your left leg to stretch out. Take hold of your right knee, engage your core and roll back to center. Hug that right knee in just for a moment, and then let's bring that to earth. So extend that leg long. Let's go the other way here. So let's just lie for a moment here in neutral spine to realign. And then remember, you can now move your cushion over to the right side. So next to your right hip probably is a good spot for it. Let's hug in our left knee. So give that little hug. Take your right hand to the outside of your left knee and then roll that knee across your body so it comes to rest on the cushions. Maintain a connection between your right shoulder and the earth. Now let's bend our right leg and reach for our right ankle or our right toes with our left hand. I think my dog is having a dream. He's sort of barking in his dream. And then you can take your gaze slightly over to the left. You maintain your right hand on the outside of your left knee for comfort. And remember, if your left hand isn't able to connect with your right foot because it's an impossibly long distance, then leave the space there. The sensation that we want to experience is across our kidneys, bladder, lower abdomen, sense of wringing out, squeezing out, detoxing. And perhaps you take deep breaths here into your abdomen. We'll be here for some time. So really use this opportunity to exhale and release fear, anxiety. We hold these negative emotions in our kidneys and bladder. And let's invite in calm, courage, come here. 5 more breaths here. with care, engaging your core. Let's release your ankle or toes. And then roll back to center. Hug your knee in before extending your legs long. Let's rest here for a moment to realign the spine. And from here, we're going to roll over and come onto our abdomen. We're going to move directly into Sphinx Pose. So roll over onto your left side and then come onto your abdomen. Now, I'm going to give you some options here to make this really super comfortable. You could have a folded blanket. So that it is underneath your lower abdomen, your hips and pelvis. That's going to feel really supportive for your kidneys. Your elbows and forearms are on the earth. Now, you can have your elbows directly underneath your shoulders, or to create a little bit more space for your lower back, you can have your elbows slightly away from you, so that it decreases the compression in your lower back. You'll notice the difference. You can always walk your elbows back underneath your shoulders and see how that feels compared to your elbows being away from your shoulders and perhaps as wide as your mat. And if you have a folded blanket underneath your lower back, or perhaps a cushion here, it's going to feel quite supportive. Depending on your lower back, if this does not feel great, you can bring your eyebrows center to rest on the earth so that there's hardly any sense of compression in your lower back. That's the most sustainable and the least intense. Now, for those yogis who want to intensify this option a little bit, you can have a folded blanket underneath your elbows so that it's slightly lifting here, and then you will notice how this creates a deeper back bend. So again, options for you here are a folded blanket underneath your hips and pelvis that brings greater comfort and support to your lower back and your kidneys. In particular, your forearms and elbows can be a little bit closer to your upper body or shifted away from your upper body. You can have your eyebrows center resting on the earth or on a cushion. To really intensify the stretch, you can have your forearms on a bolster, on a blanket or a cushion. We're going to be here for 4 minutes. So find the variation that works for you. Start off there, and then you can always intensify your Sphinx pose. After 2 minutes, I'm going to give you an option to move into seal pose or to stay in your variation of Sphinx. 3 more breaths here, so we're halfway. If you wish to intensify this sensation, you're invited to bring your palms to the earth, lift your elbows up, and have your hands as wide as the mat with a soft micro bend in your elbows. The further away your hands from your body, the less intense seal pose is. The closer the hands to your body, the more intense the seal pose is. So come into your variation of seal. You can stay in Sphinx. So find a variation that works for you. Have a soft bend in your hands. If you want to try seal, but it feels a little intense, you always have the option of placing a pillow or bolster underneath your heart space and underneath your armpits so that you're supported on your pillow or bolster. And then have your hands as wide as your mat, elbows softly bent. We have 1 more minute here in seal or Sphinx. Let's focus our breath, focus our intention. Guide your breath to the areas of compression in your lower back, around your kidneys. Connect with the sensation across your lower abdomen and breathe through it. Guide your breath into those areas. As you exhale, allow them to soften. 1 more breath here, your variation. And then with care, we're all going to move back into child's pose. So pressing into your hands to support you, lift your abdomen and then take your sit bones slowly back towards your heels. Bring your eyebrows centered to the earth. Your arms can be extended here, or you can bring your arms alongside your body, palms face up. Let's be here in child's pose for 3 breaths. And then when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to come into your Shavasana, so your lying down pose. You can support your lower knees with your bolster or your pillow. You can have your knees bent. If you have no pillow or bolster available, you can have your feet flat on the earth and your knees bent. And perhaps you turn your knees in towards each other, your feet as wide as the mat. And we're going to rest here in your variation of Shavasana. So either constructive rest with your feet flat on the earth as wide as your mat and knees falling in towards each other. Perhaps your bolster underneath your knees and feet falling away from each other, palms face up. I'm going to leave you here for the next few breaths. And you can stay here. This is your evening for as long as you want. With your eyes closed, perhaps you have some relaxing music playing in the background. And if you're ready to come out of Shavasana, and only if you're ready, roll onto one side and lift yourself into Sukhasana slowly. So some of you will still be in Shavasana, some of you may choose to rise into Sukhasana. Bring your hands together at your heart center. Let's take a full breath in through your nose, out through open mouth to wash out the breath. 2 more like this. Inhale. Exhale through open mouth. And whenever you're ready to close your practice, remember to close with 1 Om and 3 Shantis. Inhale to prepare. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher. Dhanyavad. Have a lovely week ahead.